Three chimes mean good times on NBC. In a short while, Theater Guild on the Air presents Rosalind Russell and Melvyn Douglas in Craig's Wife. Winner of the Michael Award for the best dramatic program this season, Theater Guild on the Air today brings you a story famous as one of the most penetrating character studies of the American theater, Craig's Wife. Be sure to hear Rosalind Russell and Melvyn Douglas on Theater Guild on the Air later on NBC. Now transcribed.
From Hollywood, NBC brings you Hedda Hopper. With tonight's news brought to life by Guy Brion and Charles Duran, Paulette Goddard, and George Burns and Gracie Allen. And here she is, from the desk by the window looking right down on Hollywood and Vine, Hedda Hopper.
Hello, everybody. Well, Rita Hayworth's in Nevada now, and I'm wondering if she's missing her escort, Prince DePolanak of the Champagne family. And Ali Khan's constant companion these days, as she has been for years and years, is Heidi Beer, an impoverished Austrian noblewoman. Mrs. Clark Gable's ex-husband, Lord Stanley, recently married Thérèse Husson, the daughter of a French admiral. She's a mathematics expert. It was algebra that brought them together. Variety, the show world's trade paper, reports that Hedda Hopper was hissed at the American National Theater show last Sunday night in New York. I quote from that article as follows. There was a new note of over-exuberance and a rude attack on one of the femme MCs, Hedda Hopper. Presumably, either because of her general right-wing political sympathies or her recent specific attack on the film colony in messages to the House Un-American Activities Committee. She was loudly hissed by several seat holders when she first came on. Unquote. I suppose they referred to the item I had on my radio show when I said, I've been flooded with letters from people throughout the nation asking if the Un-American Activities Committee isn't using the whitewash brush too freely. I'd like to reply to my critics that I will welcome hisses anytime, anyplace, anywhere, if my fight for America and against communism prompts them. Ida Lupino said to
Just a minute, Hedda, please.
What?
Why, we have an item on today's program, Hedda, that you don't know anything about. We thought that this is just the right time to introduce it. It's a 6-foot item by the name of Cesar Romero.
Butch!
All right, Mr. Romero, would you go on and tell her what's on your mind, please? Ladies.
Well, with you, that's no surprise.
No,
but...
mothers, Hedda, mothers.
Oh.
Why, sure, it's Mother's Day even here in Hollywood. And I have the mothers here to prove it. Come on out here, Mom.
Mrs. Romero. Hello, Hedda. How are you? Oh, this is wonderful. You know, I can't think of anything more perfect on Mother's Day than for my audience to meet the mother of one of our handsomest stars.
Well, what's so unusual about that? Everybody's got a mother. Even the ugly ones, like Gary Cooper.
Right here. Alice Cooper.
Say, come on out here, all of you, will you, please?
Well, for heaven's sake, what...
You know Richard Carlson's mother, Hedda?
Well, of course I do.
Hello, Hedda. How was your trip to New York?
And Robert Page's mother.
Right here.
You know, she helped to cook up the surprise, Hedda. Oh, and here's the mother of Bing Crosby with her usual knitting.
After all, I have 18 grandchildren.
And Joan Crawford's mother, Anna Lasure.
Hedda, I brought you some homemade jelly I made.
And I'm thanking you for it. I know that that's your hobby. Thank you,
And
dear.
beside me is Dorothy Lamour's mother, Mrs. Carmen Castleberry. Welcome home, Hedda.
And here is Mrs. Cox, the mother of John Howard.
Hello, Hedda, dear. How are you?
Hedda, isn't this the most beautiful bunch of women you ever saw in your life?
It certainly is.
Say, Hedda, think of all the famous bottoms they've spanked.
Yes, and you can certainly say that no other group has brought so much beauty into the world.
Oh, that's quite right. Now, for instance, here's Lou Costello's mother.
I'll have you know that Lou was a very smart baby.
Yes, and I'll have them know that we made a picture together once upon a time, too. But wait a minute, all of you. Butch, this surprise you've thrown is beginning to look like a fancy curve.
Now, be quiet. I'm doing the talking. Sure, Hedda. They're all members of the Motion Picture Mothers Club.
But that's it. I'm a member myself.
So why should you know everything? Only let me tell people more about this bunch. Just 16 of them started out 12 years ago, purely as a social group, a sort of a tea party while their children toiled in the vineyards of Hollywood. But now there are 100 of these wonderful ladies. Through the war years, they did wonderful work in the Red Cross, the canteen, and the veterans' hospitals. And they're doing an unbelievable amount of work for those in the movie industry who need help, whether it's the stars of yesterday or youngsters who need a ticket back home.
That's absolutely right, Butch.
Well, today they're here for a very special reason. Will the two original founders of the club please step forward? This is Helen Mack's mother.
Hello, Hedda.
And this is the mother of Tom Brown.
Hello, Hedda. I'd like to introduce our president, Mrs. Churchill, mother of Marguerite.
Now, Margot.
Now, Hedda. All of us feel that this Mother's Day, 1951, is a particularly appropriate time to show you how we feel about you. We think you have done more than anyone else to present the right side of Hollywood to the rest of the world. So we want to present to you the first and only award we have ever made in all the years of our existence. Here it is. And I'd like to read the inscription that is on it. It says, Motion Picture Mothers Incorporated, to Hedda Hopper, our most distinguished member, for her countless contributions, her unswerving loyalty and devotion to the cause of better citizenship in our town and our nation.
Oh, Margot, thanks. Thanks to all of you. You know, I'd rather have this tribute from you than from any group I know. You're not only the mothers of the stars, but you're the real producers of Hollywood.
Hedda, anytime you want to go on with the program now, you know.
All right, Art. Montgomery Clift's escort on his trip to the Bahamas is movie magnate Barney Balaban's daughter. Her parents were along to chaperone, of course. Elizabeth Taylor's mother is crying all over New York today because she can't see her child on Mother's Day. The Mark Stevens expect a second baby in September. The Don Weisses expect their first baby in October. Don's the youngest director at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. Lucille Ball declares her baby has to be born on the 4th of July, and it must be a girl so she can call her Lucy. Lana Turner hired herself a press agent when all she needs is a good picture. Jimmy Stewart called me this morning to tell me that his wife, the mother of his twins, is doing well after an operation. I asked if they had named the little girls yet, and he said only the first one. We named her Kelly. Kelly, I asked. Yes, it's a family name. And before we could decide on a second name, Gloria was taken to surgery. You know, one of the greatest thrills I've had on this program was introducing two young men with the freshest, most striking voices I've heard in years. Hundreds of letters have not only seconded my nominations of Charles Durand and Guy Briand for stardom, but demanded a return engagement. So here they are singing Be My Love.
bright face, and hand in hand we'll find love's promised land. There'll be no one but you for me eternally. With you will be my
I see others have insisted on an encore from you.
Miss Hopper, we would like to say thanks for your encouragement with some songs from the Broadway show, Guys and Dolls.
When you see a guy reach for stars in the sky, you can bet that he's doing it for some doll. When you spot a John waiting out in the rain, chances are he's insane. There's only a John can be for a Jane. When you meet a gent paying all kinds of rent for a flat that could flat the Taj Mahal, call it sad, call it funny, but it's better than even money. That's the guy's only doing it for some doll. Ask me how do I feel, ask me now that we're cozy and cooling. Well, sir, all I can say is if I were a bell, I'd be ringing. From the moment we kissed tonight, that's the way I've just gotta behave. If I were a lamp, I'd light, or if I were a banner, I'd wave. I love you, a bushel and a peck, a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck, a hug around the neck, and a barrel and a heap, barrel and a heap, and I'm talking in my sleep about you, about you. 'Cause I love you, a bushel and a peck, you bet your pretty neck I do. I've never been in love before. Now all at once it's you forevermore. I've never been in love before. I thought my heart was safe. I thought I knew the score, but this is wine that's all too strange and strong. I'm full of foolish song, and out my song must pour. So please forgive this helpless haze I'm in. I've really never been in love before. When you see a dame change the shape of her frame, you can bet she's reducing it for some guy. Call it dumb, call it clever, but you can get out forever. That's a doll, only doing it for some guy.
Oh, you boys are so wonderful and so young. I don't even remember how it feels to be that young. That was such a nice thank you note, Charles Durand and Guy Briand. And those who shared in the thrill of your discovery will watch your career with great pride. You know, I never expected to see Ava Gardner dining with Mickey Rooney, but that's what happened at the Encore, and they were having such fun. Ava was just passing the time until Frank Sinatra's arrival. And in case you've forgotten, Ava was Mickey's first bride. But that was 2 divorces back and 3 for him. Kenny Duncan, known as the bad man of the screen, went to the opening of the Hollywood racetrack yesterday and put a bet on a horse named Ali Bye-Bye for Rita Hayworth. And I'll be darned if it didn't come in third. There's a bartender named Don at the tail of the cock who caught the eye of one of our most beautiful blonde stars. Ann Baxter expects her baby the end of June. She celebrated a birthday this week, and her mother sent this note with her present. Enjoy yourself to the hilt, for this is the last chance you'll have to be the baby of the family. Agent Bert Allenberg's popular secretary, Susie Alexander, married Bob Neiman today. Her first wedding present came from Clark Gable. A good day's work for any columnist would be to pin Paulette Goddard down to a definite answer to any sort of question. Paulette's reputation for being close-mouthed is notorious and well-earned. So you can imagine how I felt last week in New York when Paulette said to me,
Well, Hedda, would you like a scoop?
You're asking Hopper if she'd like a scoop? That's like asking Goddard if she'd like some more diamonds. What's this scoop? A romance?
That is not a scoop.
Your career?
Yes. Hedda, as you know, I've been known as a picture personality. But this fall, I've decided to take the big jump and do a play.
On Broadway?
Yes, on Broadway. I found a play that I think is just right for me.
What's it called?
The Prime of Life. And it's about a motion picture actress, so it's pretty close to me.
Well, that's wonderful, Paulette.
It's all very exciting. I'm planning on going into rehearsal in late July or August and opening in New York in fall.
Who wrote this play?
Cy Howard. As you know, he has a wonderful flair for comedy. I really think he's written a brilliant play in the prime of life.
Well, Paulette, with your vivacious personality, I can't imagine anyone playing a motion picture star better than you. And since you've been such a darling, I'd like to ask you one more question. Darling?
Well, of course.
Darling, you've been linked romantically with Cy Howard. When you began going with him, did you know he was going to write a play for you, or did you plan it that way?
Hedda, I can only answer that by saying you don't go through Texas without looking for an oil well.
That's nice. Good night, Paulette Goddard. John Barrymore Jr. was asked if he felt nervous playing scenes with his Aunt Ethel in Cattle Dust, and he replied, no, and I don't think anyone's ever going to see me in the picture either. Pat Neal expects company this summer, her 16-year-old brother, who will be studying engineering at UCLA. Since Joan Fontaine has been seeing Eddie Miller of the State Department since their return from South America, I wonder if that will improve our relations with Dean Acheson. Our top tennis experts here blew a gasket after seeing Hard, Fast, and Beautiful, in which a mother exploits her daughter's tennis talents for pay. Other tennis players think it's all right. One of the toughest jobs a columnist has is digging interesting news out of people. Well, on the other hand, sometimes it must be pretty tough to be people and know that you're going to have news dug out of you, like raisins out of a rice pudding. Consider, for instance, the case of George Burns and Gracie Allen. I telephoned that I was coming out for an interview, and here's what happened in the home of Carnation's contented couple, George and Gracie.
Oh, Gracie.
Out here, George. In the kitchen.
Oh, here you are.
Hello, dear.
Gracie, Hedda Hopper just phoned, and she's on her way over here for an interview.
Well, I won't have time to interview her today.
Huh?
And I haven't any questions to ask her.
No. She's going to interview us.
Oh. Well, I haven't time for that either. On account of this is Mother's Day, I'm cooking up something very special.
Oh, good. Anyway, when Hedda gets here, you better let me do the talking.
But I always let you do the talking.
Yeah, but I thought that...
I hardly ever open my mouth, George. You know that.
I know that.
How about that man we met the other day? Did I do the talking?
The man?
You know the man. He was the woman who was driving the red convertible's husband.
The red convertible's husband.
The car you ran into and smashed the fender.
Hold it. I didn't run into it. You were doing the driving.
But I'll let you do the talking.
Yeah, I know. Now, let me do the talking when Hedda Hopper gets there. I don't know just what I'll tell her, but I'll think of something.
Well, of course, if I were doing the talking, I'd have plenty to tell her.
I know that, yeah.
I just got a letter from my mother. But I'm not doing the talking, so I won't mention it.
Good.
But you could mention it.
Okay, I will.
You could tell her my sister Hazel is back from a honeymoon and wants a divorce.
No, I don't think that would... Hazel wants a divorce already?
Oh, her husband was terrible on the honeymoon. He acted like they were in a drive-in theater.
Anyway, I don't think
But my mother made Hazel go back to her husband. She can't stand Hazel either.
Gracie, Hedda Hopper doesn't want to hear about Hazel or your mother.
Well, it's Mother's Day. And she doesn't want to hear about my mother? Well, she's got some nerve to say that.
Look, Gracie, she didn't say it. I said it.
Well, if she got you to say it, that's even worse.
Yes, it's even worse.
I guess Hedda Hopper doesn't know what Mother's Day means to my family. Well, on this day, we'd rather celebrate Mother's Day than in Christmas or Halloween or any other holiday.
I know that you
Why,
would...
we Allens love mothers. In fact, mothers ran in my family.
I don't blame them.
In fact, most of the women in the family who had children were mothers.
Most of the women who had children were mothers? What were the others?
Aunts.
Oh, aunts. Look, Gracie, Hedda won't be interested in that. She's a columnist. You see,
Oh, then she must know my Uncle Harvey. He's a columnist, too.
Your Uncle Harvey was a columnist?
Oh, yes. For 10 years, he wrote the vacation column in the San Quentin Daily.
A prison paper and it had a vacation column?
Oh, sure. My Uncle Harvey's vacation tips helped many a prisoner find his way back to happiness.
And what were these pearls of wisdom?
Well, the most popular was the one that said, boys, the best way out is through the laundry chute.
Yeah, well, I remember your uncle. He was the one who started those Crooks tours. Remember him well. Now, what are you cooking there?
Well, you know how everybody is supposed to wear carnations on Mother's Day.
Yeah?
Well, I'm making it into cupcakes so the carnation won't leak out of your buttonhole.
Well, you're using carnation evaporated milk.
Well, naturally.
Well, that'll make our sponsor very happy.
And my mother, too.
Look, let's let the cooking go for a while.
It'll also make my mother's 9 children very happy.
Look, Gracie, we've got to tell Hedda that... I didn't know your mother had 9 children.
Oh, sure. How it happened was my father got 9 boxes of cigars for a wedding present, but he didn't smoke.
So?
So, just to have an excuse for passing out the cigars...
He had 9 children?
Yeah, yes. You're so naive. My mother had them.
That's what I meant.
Of course, they weren't really my mother's children.
Oh?
You see, she owed the department store some money. So, to keep the children from being attached, she had them in my father's name.
Now, when Hedda Hopper gets here, Gracie...
But it didn't do any good. My oldest brother, Jim, was always being attacked by the police.
Oh, good. Gracie, what Hedda will want to know is how we made a switch from radio into television.
Oh, I don't blame her. And maybe she'll also want to know how my brother Jim used to take saxophone lessons by mail.
Well, anybody can take saxophone lessons by mail.
When they haven't got a saxophone?
Didn't Jim have a saxophone?
No. He used to blow his lessons into an envelope and mail them to a friend who had a saxophone.
Yeah, well, we'll tell Hedda about Jim when she gets... Oh, here she is now. Come in.
Hello, Gracie. Hello, George.
Oh, hello, Hedda. Come in and sit down.
Yeah, come in, Hedda.
I can only stay a minute. I just came over to see if you could give me something from a column.
Well, maybe we can. How much do you want for it?
No, I mean an item. For instance, Gracie, was it difficult for you and George to make the transition from radio into television?
Oh, I think that's a very fair question. Now I'll ask you one.
But Gracie...
I saw you in the beauty shop the other day, Hedda. And where did you get that beautiful hat you were wearing?
Gracie, that wasn't a hat. I was sitting under the dryer.
Hedda, Hedda, what was the question you asked Gracie?
Was it difficult to make the transition? My goodness, it's warm in here. Was it difficult to make...
The reason it's warm is I've got the oven on full blast.
What are you cooking?
I'm not cooking anything. I always keep it on full blast so the gas company won't know we eat out a lot.
Hedda, maybe I can help you.
You certainly can.
Well, good.
Where's the door?
That way, Hedda.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. George.
What?
You know, I think she's a little crazy.
Good night, everybody.
This is my last show for the season. And I'd like to thank the artists who have been with us, the Hollywood Studios, the National Broadcasting Company, Gil Faust, director, Dave Victor and Jack Gillis, writers, Frank Worth and his wonderful orchestra, our beloved Art Baker, Ray Ferguson, our engineer, and the two best sound men at NBC, also Dima Harshbarger, our inspiration. And I can't go off the air without thanking the thousands of people throughout the land who have written me such inspiring letters during the course of these broadcasts. You have confirmed my faith in America. You know, I've tried to show you Hollywood as it is, an industry made up of 95% patriotic citizens. Citizens just as much interested in the welfare of their country as you are. Yes, there's a fringe of reds, as I've told you. And while they're sinister and dangerous, their numbers are dwindling. And before long, we believe they will be driven from our midst. In the meantime, they must constantly be watched, and they will be. Not all my letters have been complimentary. A few were scornful, some cynical, and others quite vicious. All of the uncomplimentary ones had a common complaint, however. They accused me of being a flag waver. I am a flag waver. I'm proud of it. And I'll wave Old Glory every time I get a chance until Gabriel blows his trumpet. In fact, I think this is a particularly good time in the history of our country to be patriotic. I know the great majority of you listening in today will agree with me. I know that most of Hollywood is with me and you. And I know if the time ever comes in this country when flag waving is considered unnecessary, we're through. So let's hold Old Glory high and keep it waving.
Let freedom ring out, I say, for everyone and every day, with every breath, dear Lord, I pray. Let freedom ring. Let freedom.
Let freedom ring, because freedom is the greatest blessing ever attained by man. Let's keep it ringing forever in America.
The Hedda Hopper Show came to you transcribed. Now it's Rosalind Russell, Melvin Douglas, and Theater Guild on the Air on NBC.